What if I told you that most of your thoughts are not really yours? That your choices, your fears, your desires, even the way you see reality, are largely shaped by processes you never consciously control. Right now, as you're watching this video, your brain is predicting what will happen next. It filters information, suppressing certain thoughts and amplifying others, and you're completely unaware of it. We like to believe that we are rational, conscious decision makers, but psychology tells a very different story. Today, you're about to discover how the human mind really works. Not the comforting version, but the accurate one. And once you understand it, you'll never look at yourself or anyone else the same way again. Let's start with the most important truth in psychology. Your conscious mind is not in charge. It feels like it is. You feel like you decide what to think, what to feel, what to do. But neuroscience shows that conscious awareness is more like a narrator than a commander. Before you become aware of a decision, your brain has often already made it. In famous experiments by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet, researchers measured brain activity milliseconds before people consciously decided to act. The brain initiated the action first. Awareness came after. In other words, your mind acts, then explains. Consciousness doesn't lead behavior, it interprets it. Your brain's primary job is not thinking, it's predicting. At every moment, your brain is asking, what is most likely happening right now? What will happen next? What do I need to survive this situation? It does this by combining past experiences, learned patterns, emotional memory, and expectations. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as your brain predicts it to be. That's why two people can experience the same event and walk away with completely different realities. Reality is filtered, edited, reconstructed. This is why your mind is not a camera, it's a storyteller. One of the strongest drivers of human behavior is the reduction of uncertainty. Your brain would rather accept a negative explanation than no explanation at all. Uncertainty signals danger. From an evolutionary perspective, not knowing what's happening meant you couldn't prepare or protect yourself. So the mind fills gaps. It creates stories, even if those stories are wrong. Certainty feels like safety, even when it's false. Your brain's dislike of uncertainty explains many modern struggles. Anxiety thrives when outcomes are unclear. Overthinking is the mind searching for certainty where none exists. Even conspiracy theories offer comfort, because a bad explanation can feel safer than no explanation at all. The mind is not obsessed with truth. It's obsessed with predictability. Knowing what to expect feels like control, and control feels like safety. Psychologists estimate that over 90% of mental activity is unconscious. This includes emotional reactions, habitual behaviors, social judgments, biases, and automatic thoughts. Your unconscious mind decides who you trust, who you feel attracted to, what feels threatening, and what feels safe, long before logic enters the room. This is why someone can say, I don't know why, I just don't like them. The reason exists, but it lives below awareness. Most of what you call your personality is not a conscious choice, but a collection of unconscious habits. The tone of your inner voice, the speed at which you react, the way you interpret silence, criticism, or praise. The unconscious does not ask whether something is healthy. It asks whether it is familiar. We often think emotions interfere with rational thinking. In reality, emotion is the foundation of decision-making. People with brain damage affecting emotional processing don't become hyper-rational. They become unable to decide at all. Why? Because emotions assign value. They answer questions like, is this good or bad? Is this worth the effort? Is this dangerous or safe? Logic analyzes options. Emotion tells you which option matters. Without emotion, the mind is paralyzed. Emotions are not arguments, they are signals. Trying to reason them away often makes them even stronger. This is because emotions originate in older parts of the brain, areas that evolved long before language and reasoning. Change happens not when emotions are defeated, but when they are understood and processed. This is one of the most misunderstood facts about psychology. The human mind did not evolve for happiness. It evolved for survival. Your brain is constantly scanning for threats, rejection, loss, and uncertainty. This negativity bias means bad experiences feel stronger than good ones. Fear lasts longer than pleasure. Criticism outweighs praise. From an evolutionary standpoint, this makes sense. Missing a threat was fatal. Missing a reward was not. This design explains why happiness is often unstable. Positive emotions are meant to be temporary. They signal that things are going well, but they are not designed to last. The reason is adaptation. The brain quickly adjusts to improvement, turning what once felt extraordinary into something normal. Fulfillment, therefore, does not come from eliminating discomfort, but from understanding why it exists and what role it plays. Your brain evolved in small groups. Survival depended on belonging and acceptance. That's why social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. Loneliness is interpreted as danger. This is why we seek validation, fear judgment, and compare ourselves constantly. The mind is wired to ask, do I fit in? Am I valued? Am I safe here? Your sense of self is not a fixed entity. It's a mental construction. The ego exists to protect your self-image. That's why we justify mistakes, rationalize bad decisions, and resist information that threatens our beliefs. This is called cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of holding conflicting ideas. The ego is not the enemy, it's a survival strategy. Problems arise when identity becomes inflexible. Changing your mind can feel like losing yourself. True psychological strength is flexibility. This is why self-reflection can feel uncomfortable. Looking honestly at yourself threatens the ego's narrative. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like freedom. But when identity becomes flexible, learning accelerates. You no longer need to be right to feel whole. You no longer need to defend every belief. The mind becomes curious instead of defensive. And curiosity is one of the healthiest psychological states there is. Every time you remember something, you're rewriting it. Memories are not stored like files. They're rebuilt using fragments, emotions, and current beliefs. That's why eyewitness testimony is unreliable, why childhood memories change, why two people remember the same event differently. Memory serves meaning, not accuracy. Every act of remembering slightly changes the memory itself. This is called reconsolidation. The brain updates memories based on who you are now, not who you were then. That means your current emotions, beliefs, and self-image quietly reshape the past. Memory is less about preserving history and more about maintaining a coherent sense of self. The past feels stable, but psychologically, it's alive. So, do we have free will? Psychology suggests a nuanced answer. You don't choose your genetics, your conditioning, or your unconscious patterns. But awareness gives you influence. You may not control the first thought, but you can control what you do with it. Freedom doesn't mean total control. It means response flexibility. Awareness creates space between impulse and action. What is seen can be questioned. What is questioned can change. Understanding how the mind works doesn't make you perfect. It makes you less controlled by invisible forces. You begin to notice automatic reactions, emotional triggers, and defensive thinking. The mind doesn't become silent, but it becomes transparent. The adult brain is not static. It rewrites itself through attention, repetition, and experience. Thoughts strengthen pathways. Behaviors reinforce circuits. This is how habits become automatic. What you repeatedly think, you become efficient at thinking. What you repeatedly feel, you become practiced at feeling. Change is always possible, but habits are powerful. The most powerful realization in psychology is this: you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not even your personality. These are processes, patterns, stories your brain generates. Once you see the machinery behind the curtain, you gain something rare: perspective. And perspective is the beginning of wisdom. If you want to understand yourself and the people around you, This is where it starts.